Because how old are
Uh,
you? You're very young. I know you're like, what, 22?
I'm 21 now,
21. Okay. Yeah.
turning 22. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like 35 when you were born or something. I'm literally probably older than your parents.
No, I have old parents though. I have old parents.
You have
Or
old parents?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. What, they're 40?
You're killing me. No.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is season 6 of Willfully Funny. This week, my guest is local Ottawa comic Serge Nkusi. And welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for having me.
oh, no problem. So,
Uh,
before we get started, can you share your social media with
my social
everyone?
media is Serge Nkusi underscore. So SERGENKUSI on Instagram. And yeah, follow me there. That's all the socials I got.
Okay, so I will include that information in the show notes. So
Woo.
welcome again. And yeah, I was anxious to talk to you because we don't know each other very well. We've been on a couple of shows together. I know you're fairly new to stand up, so but I don't, yeah, even though we've had conversations, I don't think I know your origin story. So how long have you been doing stand up and what motivated you to start?
Um, I started stand up about 2 years ago, at Yuck Yucks. It's actually on YouTube. My first ever set at Yuck Yucks. And then COVID hit,
Uh,
and then the pandemic, whatever. And then we couldn't do comedy, and I didn't know about the Zoom comedy and stuff like that. So in between that time, I did Twitch streaming and I did a lot of YouTube. I just created anything I could. And then when I realized I could do stand up again, which was about a year and 5, 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more, when I realized I went to Meows That's Hot, and that's where I've been doing. Like now I'm back on like the grind or whatever.
okay, good, good, good.
I mean, I
Uh,
had tried it once. Yeah.
okay. So for our
Yes.
listeners and viewers, Meow That's Hot is a local open mic that's run, I think, every Thursday. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's in Ottawa where we're both located.
A
So
great place.
you said you did Twitch. Did you do comedy on Twitch, or were you just like streaming video games, or a bit of everything?
At the start, I just because I didn't even know what I wanted to do with stand up. I just knew I wanted to do stand up.
Mhm.
The reason why I started doing stand up, by the way, is because I was a class clown throughout all of my life. No breaks. Like
Okay.
right out of the gates. Kindergarten, I'm already a class clown. And then when I'm 9 years old or 10, I find uh, Russell Peters' Comedy Now special on YouTube. And
You were
then I
9 or
watched that.
10? Oh my
Yeah, because I
God.
I have London parents. They don't speak English, so we have no like whatever. We can watch whatever on TV. They don't know
Right.
anything. I was watching Family Guy, Robot Chicken at 8, 7, 6.
Wow.
Like no Caillou. I never watched any of that stuff.
Okay.
My dad worked for UNICEF. He was never home, so I'm
Okay.
just watching all that shit.
All
And
that
then
stuff.
yeah, so I
Because
watched
I was
the
just
Russell
making the
Peters.
reference that like you were 8 and I was like 50.
Yo, that's crazy. No way. What the heck?
It'd probably be your mom. I'm probably older than your mom for all I know.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord,
Wow.
sorry to interrupt.
No, that was great. That was great. Um, wait, so at 50 you watched like comedy for the first? No.
No. I'm saying when you discovered Russell Peters at 8, I was probably like 50 or something.
Oh.
I was not 8. I was probably in my 30s or something at the same time.
Yo.
Because how old are
Nah,
you? You're very young. I know you're like, what, 22?
I'm 21 now.
21. Okay. Yeah.
Turning 22. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like 35 when you were born or something. I'm literally probably older than your parents.
No, I have old parents though. I have old parents.
You have
Or
old parents?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. What, they're 40?
You're killing me. No. My dad is like 65? 65? You're not
Okay.
60. You're not in your
Do you
60s.
have older siblings?
Yeah, I'm the youngest. All my
Okay.
siblings. I'm an uncle.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of
Okay.
those. Yeah, I'm one of
Okay.
those. I'm one of
Okay.
those.
So yeah. So you probably have like cousins your age or close to your age.
Yeah,
Closer to your
yeah,
age than some of your siblings. Okay.
yeah. All my siblings are, and I got nephews, nieces.
Okay.
Anyways,
Yes.
I watched Russell Peters religiously. After that, and then when I saw him, that's when I realized like, okay, I want to do stand up at like 10. Like I have to do it. And then I was also like repeating his jokes at school, but then like changing the the punchline to like
Okay.
my life and stuff like that. So
Okay.
when I realized I could do that, I'm like, hey, I gotta pursue this. But yeah, I told my parents the next day at home, and they were just not like, yeah, they were not enthusiastic
They're not
about it.
on board.
But yeah, what was the initial question though? I wanted to answer that one.
It was how you got started, or like how long you were doing it, and what got you started. Yeah. And you were talking about like your influences. Like yeah, like how you
Yeah,
would get.
Russell Peters. When I realized you could actually do this, like you could be funny on a stage, not even just because I'm 10. I'm not like, oh my God, he gets paid. Like money doesn't even is not
Yeah,
even
you're
like,
not thinking of that. Yeah.
yeah. It's more like, whoa, he's doing it there, like
Yeah,
in front
yeah.
of people. Like that's super cool. And then yeah, I feel like after that, I kind of like treated my life like stand up. Like up until then, I kind of knew in the back of my head, like I was even like really good at basketball. I come from a like athletic like sports family. My brother was on Team Canada. My dad was on Team Runda for like sports. And then when I picked up the basketball, I was really good. Like no, I'm not even trying to be cocky, but at a young age, I was really good. So people were already telling me,
That's your path, like
yeah.
sports.
But I knew in the back, I was like, there's no way. And then I got to high school senior year, and then I was about to go to like Ottawa U, Carleton, follow the same path as my brothers and sisters. And then I got suspended from school the last 20 days. And then they said you couldn't go to graduation, you couldn't go to prom, like
Oh.
everything was canceled. The
What
police
did you
came to my,
do? What did you do? What
what did
happened?
you?
Wow, because that's pretty serious to be
Yeah,
to get that like so close to graduation. Like,
yeah. The
wow.
and the exams and stuff, like I fucked
Oh,
up
you
all
couldn't write
my,
your exams either.
yeah, and
Oh wow. Wow.
fucked up everything.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I so fucked up. I made a
You don't have
school
to tell
shooter.
me if you don't want to. It's okay. You don't have to. I was just like, what
Well,
did
we
you
are.
do? Yeah, but it's up to you. Like
Uh, okay, I feel like I shouldn't, so I won't.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I've never been in trouble like
Right.
at all. And then
A silly mistake.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like a good mistake because then it got me to like think straight, I guess, and realize like this is really what I want to do. And
Mhm.
then yeah, I got to college, and then uh I didn't go to Ottawa U or Carleton. I went to one of the worst colleges in Canada, probably. The had like 1,000 students, like maybe at a university.
Yeah, that's small. That's very,
It,
very small.
uh,
Yeah.
so the first day of school, I was uh, like I gotta do comedy, and then there was no comedy anywhere around it, you know. So I picked up a camera right then and there. I went to Best Buy, bought a camera, and I started Twitch streaming. And one thing that I did like to do and thought I was good at was roasting people in school. That was my thing. Like, I was the little skinny kid that everybody liked to pick on. But when they picked on me, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know, with like a high pitched voice. So I was like, let me just try to do that. So what I did, I did this every single day for like hours. I would go on Omegle. Do you know what Omegle is?
No, I don't know what that is. I'm old. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
What is it?
Okay.
Is it social media?
You know what chat roulette is?
Yes, I think
It's
I
like
used it once like 20 plus years ago or something, or
it's
a
like
version
it's
of
like
it.
a Zoom. It's like Zoom, but random people every time from all around the world.
Yeah,
Lonely
hence the
people.
roulette part. I think when
Yeah,
I did it, it was just phone. It wasn't it might
video.
have been. Oh no, I think when I used it, it was online. It was like computer. Yeah, I think.
But like messages?
Yeah, because I remember I used to chat with someone on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was called chat roulette. It was something like that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Mine Omega was like video. So it's basically exactly like this format, and it's random people, and I used to video record myself just roasting the next person. It'd be like, and
So
then I would
people
live
just
stream it
pop up
too.
on your.
Pop up, and then I'd be like, "You look like a motherfucking, you look like this, you look like that," and I would just woo woo
Oh
last shot.
wow.
Yeah, but it got really toxic. It got really bad, because
Mm,
I because I was doing it every single day. So, and I was really doing it for the views. Like I was trying to like blow up on YouTube or Instagram, like some way somehow. So it got really like negative and like just
mm.
dark. And
Yeah,
I
I could see that.
it was like first it was funny, then it was like, yo, like you really hurting feelings. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I remember one time, true story, I roasted this girl's nose, and then she was like, I have been bullied my entire life about my nose. And for the last 3 years, I finally got over it
Mm.
until today. And I
And
was like,
you brought it back and reopened the
yeah.
wounds. Thanks, motherfucker. Just when I thought I was healed, I ran into you.
And what is so sad is that it's the internet. So like if that was in person, it's like she cries in front of me and then like I hug her. But it's the internet, so I just closed my laptop and I was like, bye.
You're like, I can see you just like,
Oh, yeah.
wow, wow. Oh my God. And that's the thing, like roasting people is one thing. Like like a roast battle, even though it could get vicious, when you know the people, the limits, like, okay, I'm not gonna talk about this or whatever it is, the parameters, and you can
Mm-hmm.
get as vicious as you want within the parameters, because that's like kind of mutually agreed upon. But when it's a stranger, when it's somebody you don't know,
Yeah.
especially somebody who just pops up on your screen, yeah, the first thing, usually if you don't know somebody, the first thing you'll roast is their appearance. Yeah, because that's all that's all you can see. That's all, especially over, especially online.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different thing if somebody's right in front of you, but yeah, just on a screen, and there's that distance that you're able to detach, and it's just an image.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an image, and then when that image starts crying, it's like, oh fuck. I mean, yeah. Wow. Wow. But
Yeah.
I could see how that would get to you,
God.
especially if you're doing it day after, like, if
Till this day.
mhm. Yeah, if it bothers you still, yeah, and yeah,
Because it
because I,
happens
I I
again.
think we're I don't think, even though we know that people could be horrible and awful to each other, I don't think people are inherently mean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people in general wake up with, I'm going to hurt someone today. I'm going to insult somebody. I don't think we're inherently mean.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're mean for different reasons, and I think a lot of people who are I think people are basically good. And if basically good people hurt people, even if it's deserved, even if it's warranted, you do feel a little bit bad sometimes, you
Mm-hmm.
know unless you're just pure evil. Like, if you're just a horrible person, like, you're not going to feel remorse, you're not going to feel compassion. But I think we're all capable of being mean. um and but I think most of us feel some kind of remorse, even though you're standing up for yourself, or your whatever your motivation for being mean. I think at some level you feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel good about causing pain to someone else.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Didn't you do a roast yesterday?
I did a compliment roast. So we
Oh
said nice
yeah.
things to each other. We
Seen
said
that.
nice things. I've never done like a roast, although I signed up to do the next one. Yeah.
Your
So
first roast.
my first roast. I've been roasted, and
Yeah.
I think it's a different thing when you didn't consent to be roasted, when someone just decides to roast you. I think I didn't like that at all, especially since I was like, I didn't agree to this. you
Wait.
know I didn't agree to this. I think, like, signing up to be roasted, or signing up to roast and to be roasted, even though I'm a little apprehensive, I think it's a different that's a different dynamic, because it's like I'm choosing to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm choosing to hear whatever insults you want to hurl my way, but I also get to hurl them back. So, so I think that's the difference, because I know I've been roasted a couple of times
Yeah.
without my consent, and just like, I just happened to be at the show and, like, getting roasted, and it's like,
Oh, it's on the stage.
yeah, someone on stage roasts me,
Yeah.
and it's like, because I remember this happened a few years ago, a couple of years ago, and I was still fairly new and everything, and someone just made a remark about my weight or something, and I
Yeah.
was pissed, because I was like, I didn't sign up to be roasted, you know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not I'm not here to be roasted, like, fuck you. I was really mad. I was really, really upset.
I feel
Um
that.
yeah, because it's like, I'm just here I think I was on the show, and it wasn't a roast show, it was just a regular, or I can't even remember where it was. It was a regular show, and I was on in the lineup, and one of the people decided that, oh, I'm just gonna roast people, and it'll be funny. And I'm
And he roasted you after you got off stage?
no, he this was right before. He was up before me. And so I went up there and I was livid. I was embarrassed because it's
Okay.
first of all, I don't want to be roasted. And I basically said fuck you to him for like 5 minutes before I actually got into my material because I was so upset. Yeah, I basically like just reamed him out for a few minutes before I got into my set. But I was embarrassed and I was angry and I was upset just because I didn't sign up for this. Like I don't think you should do like drive-by roastings. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like, yeah, if it's a roast battle and you put your name in for the roast battle,
Yeah.
that I think that's totally different because you're like, yeah, this is a roast battle. People are going to say shitty things.
But don't people usually, I find like a lot of comics roast during shows, like especially open mics. I don't know if it's an open mic thing.
Maybe it's an open mic thing, but
Yeah,
like at a
open mic for sure.
yeah, open mics for sure. But like
People,
a I don't know, like a booked show or a pro show. Uh I think maybe sometimes crowd work is like a form of roasting. You know, if
yeah.
someone does somebody heckles or does something, but to say like roasting other comedians, unless that's the plan, usually say at pro shows that I've been at where one of the acts is going to roast, they've usually at least warned you.
Hmm.
You know, they're like, I'm gonna be doing some roast. Is it okay if I roast you?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there you can say yes, you could say no. Um, yeah, so you're not ambushed or
yeah.
something, and um things like call like if it like this isn't I guess it could qualify as a roast, but I don't really consider it a roast. Like if somebody calls back to one of your bits or something,
Mhm.
depending on what they say, they could roast you on that. But I don't usually consider that. I usually don't consider that roasting. I think it's flattering if someone calls back to
Called back. They're
yeah,
fun.
yeah, if somebody calls back to a bit you did it to me it means it resonated with them,
Hmm.
and if it resonated with them, it definitely resonated with the audience at some point
For sure.
that they're referencing it. So I think in terms of say somebody calling back a bit to roast me, I'm 1,000% okay with that. But somebody just I'm in the audience, I'm just sitting there, or I'm waiting to go up, or I just got off and somebody like roasts me personally, that's a
That's
different
crazy.
story. That's a different story. We're fighting now. That's different. That's different.
Yeah,
But yeah, I did sign up for the next roast battle. Whether I
that's
go
cool.
through with it or not is another story. I might chicken out, but I don't know. It's just it's trying something different as well. Like the compliment roast was different.
Mhm.
Was a that was a muscle I'd never flexed before. Getting up and just saying nice things, and still trying to be funny and trying to be funny about it too is that's another skill. So yeah,
Yeah,
do
I
the
wish I
next one
could do
whenever
that.
it is.
I did one roast battle, I think 2 months ago, and even that was really uncomfortable. I lost badly. All my jokes, all my roasts bombed. Like
Oh
each single,
really?
yeah, at Pub 101, in the darkness.
Okay, I've never been
It,
there.
wow,
Yeah, I've never been there.
that's interesting. But there's some spots like people have not touched, and you live in the city,
Yeah,
like Pub 101.
yeah. Like
Comedy every
in
Tuesday.
comedy, yeah. There's certain shows I've never done.
Swizzle.
No, I've done Swizzles. I haven't done Swizzles in a while though.
So how do you practice like your jokes?
How do I practice? Yeah, because I
What have you
tour
been
a
doing?
lot. I tour a lot, and I do a lot of club shows and out of town shows. So to try new stuff, I sort of just slip them in into
Yeah.
my established stuff.
Do you do comedy every single day?
It's been quiet. I've sort of kind of pseudo taken time off over the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are months where it's yeah, I'm doing comedy at least 5 times a week usually.
Okay.
I'm somewhere. Whether it's in town or out of town, I'm doing some sort of show
Uh,
ordinarily. Like yeah, June till now has been um slow for me,
mhm.
where I'm doing like maybe one or two a week, versus I think my busiest month this year was February and March, where there were some weeks I did yeah, I did a couple of there were a few days where I did at least two shows. Like I do one show, then do my set, drive to the other venue, do another set there. I've had a few days like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
good months for comedy though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. For sure. It's good. It's good. So
February,
yeah.
March.
Pardon me?
Those are just great months. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember those days. Those days were packed. Like nowadays,
Summer is like notoriously slower,
it is.
just because it's summer, people want to be outside, people are doing other things, people don't want to be in a comedy club or in a basement somewhere for comedy. But yeah, like I had 3 shows this week that just finished, and I think from the last show I did to the first show I did last week, it was 10 days in between.
Jeez.
And I've never gone that long between
Without,
between doing sets.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd never gone that long, where it was the point where I was like
you need
like
to get to the
panicking.
stage.
Yeah, but I was like, I was also like, sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you just need a break, you know? So I did take a bit of a break. I would I don't think I'll take as big of a break again. But for other reasons I needed to. I was just tired and stuff. But no, I like sweet spot for me is 3 to 5 times a week. I've got something on the go every weekend and one or two things during the week. That's ideal for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If it's a little more, that's great. If it's a little bit less, that's okay too. But long stretches of um long stretches of inactivity don't don't I don't do well with that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and especially like it's such a big part of my life. It's become such a big part of my life that it's like I want to be doing the most with it. So,
Yeah.
if
You've
I'm
been
not,
killing the game,
thank you, thank you,
you
thank you.
know?
And that was like consistent, like 3 years of at that
Uh,
level,
uh,
that I was just like, okay, I need to slow down, because it was affecting my physical and mental health and stuff, that I needed to slow down a
but
little bit.
shit like that inspires me because when I see you do like great, and also not only that, your material is so like it's like gotten so refined and so fun and so like loose. Like it gives me the
Well,
drive to want to keep going the
thank
years.
you,
You know?
thank you, thank you. Yeah, because
I-
it's a cool thing to because I have my very first set, the very first set I ever did recorded, and I watch it every now and then, and I also have a different reaction. Like when I first did it, I remember I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Like it's so exciting. And like, I was pretty good for like this is my first time. I was pretty good, sort of thing. And I look back now And it's like, yeah, for being the first time, it was good. But then it's like, I can see, oh, I should have tightened that up, or that went on too long. Like I'm critical in a different way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that bit was too long.
Mhm.
Like so much of that bit could have been taken out. And it's like, oh, I missed the light. Things like that. I went over time. And I think it's good to see your progression, because you don't always, because your material, and you've been doing it and everything, and you don't, you feel like you've stayed the same, or you feel like you haven't gotten better, or you don't notice the changes in yourself. So that's why I think it's so important to record your stuff, not
Yeah.
necessarily video, but like some record it somehow, whether it's audio and or video, just so that you have a record of it, that you can, if you want to submit for festivals or things like that, um you have a library of information, as also to, maybe a joke that you've been struggling with finally works, and you have a recording of it working, and you can listen or watch to see what you did, what happened, what you did differently that made this work. Or conversely, something that usually works didn't work on a particular night. What happened? Did you miss something? Did you leave something out? Because that's happened to me, where I've been like, and it haunts me till I actually read it, because I'd be like, oh, that bit usually works. Like, what happened? Like, it didn't. Why didn't it work? And it's not until I look at the video that I realize I missed a whole chunk of the bit. So it made no sense to anybody when I got to the punchline. That's why they didn't laugh. That's like, it's usually because I missed something, like I left something out, or you change one word and it changes the whole thing. So I think that's why I'm a big proponent to recording. That's why I record all the time. I always
Yeah.
figure out a way. I get to the venue early so I can find a spot to set up my camera so I can record. It's a point, I think it's a problem now, because I'm like, what do you mean I can't record? What do you mean? you know, no.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't set my actual camera up, I have a little tripod that it's like I'll stick it on a table or something. It's a sickness now. I'm like, I can't find some place to set my camera up. Because I just find it so
Uh,
important, and I think that's helped me
yeah.
over
That's
the
so funny
years.
though, because like I always see you setting up your camera at
Yeah,
shows. Like there's not a show. I don't care if it's at fucking Swizzles,
yeah,
outside
wherever, it
show,
doesn't matter. Like, if
the
I'm on the
mall.
show, that I have my camera, and I'm setting it up exactly. If you see me at a show and there's no camera set up, it's because I'm not on the show.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I am not on the show. But I but I have, even though I may not have my camera, I have a little tripod in my purse in case someone's like, "Hey, you want to do 5?" Sure. Set up my phone. Yeah,
That's
it's
so
it's a
sick.
sickness at this point.
That's what it is. That's what it's all about, though.
But
What it's all about.
those are the things that I don't think enough people do that. And
Mhm.
like, I just because I've been doing it from like day one. I've been recording from day one, and like I tell everybody, record your stuff, because it helps.
Mhm.
It helps you. It helps you. It helps you. Like, it helps you. It makes you stronger. You can study yourself in terms of, if you do weird, like I used to do this weird thing where I just tug on the microphone the whole time. That was nerves. That's how, I never thought I was nervous, but that's how it came out. I'd be playing with the microphone, just
Mhm.
fidgeting sort of thing, and it was like, okay, I need to stop that. And but being aware of it, it's like as soon as I would go for the thing, okay, stop. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Wow.
you just, and then it's weird. It's a weird thing to watch yourself or listen to yourself. Most of us aren't used to seeing ourselves on camera or hearing our own voices outside of us talking, hearing a recording. You get used to that. You get over that weirdness. And once you get
Hmm.
over that weirdness, you can take it for what it is. Like, it's a tool. Yeah, it's helpful if you have clips for, if someone wants to see a sample of your work, or you want to submit to a festival or a contest or something. Like, that's super useful.
Hmm.
But I think that's secondary. Like, a primary thing is, for me, is that it's a tool to get better.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I use to improve, to study what I'm doing, how things are working, how is the crowd reacting. Because you're on stage, yeah, you hear, but you're not hearing everything. You're hearing it from the perspective of being on stage and performing. That as you're saying your joke and people react, you're like, okay, yeah, that worked, and you keep going, but you're not really listening to what's happening in the audience, sort of thing, because you're focused on getting through your set.
Exactly.
You're focused on getting through your set, but having it recorded, it's almost like you can look at it as like an out of body experience, that you're watching it like someone else sitting in the room. Like, you see yourself get up on the stage, you can then, as you're watching a video, you can see and hear how the crowd is reacting to you, or like reacting to you just getting on the stage, and then reacting you as once you start speaking, and things like that. You can hear I have a soft voice, so I have to make a conscious thing to speak louder, which doesn't always work, but that's something that I wouldn't have picked up on, because I figured I'm holding a microphone, it's fine. It should be fine to
Yeah.
have a microphone, but it's not. Like, I have to speak louder. So there are just certain things that I think, had I not been recording, maybe somebody would have told me, oh, you need to speak louder, or you do this weird thing with the microphone, or whatever. Maybe somebody would have told me, but it was I think it's just a lot of self-reflection as well. And it's
It's better that you learn the lesson rather than somebody else.
right, then rather than someone else telling you, or if you think like, is that a problem, you can ask somebody that, it's like, do I do that a lot? Like, I recorded my set last night, and I noticed I do this at some point. Do I do that all the time, or yeah, I just at some point, I do some weird, whatever it is. Like, I think it's if you notice it, you're more likely to do something about it, and I
Yeah.
think that especially in something like comedy, where it's solitary, because
Yeah.
you're up there, it's your stuff that you've created, and you've worked on to bring to the stage. It's just you up on the stage delivering that stuff. That
Mm.
it's one of two things can happen. Either you could be like, don't talk bad about my baby, sort of thing, with your comedy, or you're open to um suggestions or things from, just because somebody says, oh, try this, doesn't mean you have to do it.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean you have to do it, because it's personal. Your comedy is personal, you know
Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, if you can record yourself, do it, because it's a good tool to help you improve and get stronger. Because I it helped me immensely.
No, I definitely believe that because I was really scared to listen or like record my sets at first, and then I started recording my sets, and then I was too scared to even listen to them. I was just recording them, and then just in case, like I don't know why. And then now I listen to them like all the time, and it's like, yeah, that's the best part because it's like at first you're so scared, and then now like you're literally you're sick of it. Like it's like a sickness, you
It's like a
know?
sickness, yes.
I'm like, I'm out here like I'm scared because even right now I'm only doing voice memos. But after this conversation, it's so much more details to it. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna bring out the
Hmm.
tripod every time now because
Yeah.
there's more to it.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's more, yeah, exactly. There's more to it, and it's more than just you on stage. There's like, I think you're able to look look and or listen depending on how you've recorded it. Um you can sense the vibe in the room, you can sense the mood in the room. You can see how people are reacting to you, not just in terms of laughing or not laughing, but just the vibe, and
Yeah.
I think that's helpful in any situation. It's helpful in any situation, and it's yeah, I think I learned things that I don't think I could have been taught, because there's certain things that you just learn instinctively. Like somebody can't say, I don't even, I, yeah, I can't think of anything. I can't think of it right offhand, but say something like like how you stand on the stage or where you stand on the stage is crucial because
Yeah.
depending on where you stand, the audience can perceive you a certain way. I think for myself too, being a woman, as soon as I step on the stage, like some people are like, "Oh, she's not going to be funny," you know what I mean, or whatever. So it's like sometimes I have to have more of it feels aggressive to me, like to somebody else it may not be, but if I stand right at the edge, like right at the edge of the stage, especially like at a comedy club, right at the edge of a stage, like the whole dynamic changes. Like a club owner kept urging me, you got to stand, because I was like standing in the middle. I wasn't at the back against the wall, but I was in the middle. He's like, no, move to the front,
That's crazy.
move to the edge. And I was like, bah, but I did it. One time I just did it and it changed the whole, excuse me, it changed the whole dynamic
Whoa.
in the room. Something simple like that, something like, I think like for comics, or say like you're the host, so you're watching the comic on stage and you want to know, you need especially if it's somebody you don't know, let's say somebody you don't see often, you don't know where their set's going to end, sort of
Hmm.
thing. Okay, they've got 6 minutes and they might be at 4 minutes or something, so you might be watching the time or listening for a cue. um but like the audience doesn't know that, oh, this person is up for 10 minutes, that person's up for 40, this one's going to be up for 10. The audience doesn't know that. And I I believe in like leaving them wanting more, sort of thing, so not letting them know that you're wrapping up. So I know I don't I avoid doing this. I try to avoid it as much as I can, but I know it bothers me when I see this, because it's like you're doing so well, let them be like, oh, you're done, sort of thing. So when people say like, I'm going to wrap this, this is the last thing I'm going to say, or I'm going to end on this, I think those are only from, this is all just my opinion, I think those are okay if you're the headliner and you've been on for an hour or 45 minutes, where you're like, okay, before I go, I'm going to tell you about this. That's one thing. But I think like in shorter sets, that, because maybe your goal is to get to the headliner thing or get to a point where you're doing longer sets, that you want people to be engaged and like hanging off your words and wanting more. So it's like, I try to avoid things like, that's my time. Before I go, I'll tell you this last thing. What before I go, or as I'm talking, reaching for the mic thing to bring it back, doing all
Mm,
of that stuff. I think for me, the biggest one is the reaching for the mic stand as you're talking, because now the audience is like, oh, they're almost finished. Like you've taken the focus off.
whoa,
You know what I
that's
mean?
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
you've taken the focus off what you're saying, and they're like, oh, they're getting ready to leave. So I'm like, you know, it's your last joke. You know, this is your last bit that you're going into. Say it, get your laugh, and then say thank you. You know, good night. My name is whatever, or however you end your sets, and then go for the mic. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's just simple little things like
yeah,
that.
no, for sure.
You know,
But
like
when you
where you.
do it a lot, you can see those are that can make like a huge difference.
Oh yeah,
Like,
oh
right?
yeah. Because that same club owner who told me to stand at the edge said, because I rarely say those things, but he's like, why are you you're still talking? Why are you reaching looking for the mic stand? You're still talking. And I was like, it just never, I never clued in to that. And he's like, say what you need to say, then get the mic stand, then put the mic back and all of that stuff. And I tried it, and whoo, what a difference. What a difference.
Yeah.
You know, because even though you're getting the laughs on your, because you want to end on a high note, even though you're getting the laughs, it let's say when I was like, okay, blah blah blah, and I'm reaching and all of that, let's say the laugh level was a 5. That's decent, whatever, a 5 or a 6. When I did it, let them laugh, and then said, oh, thank you, it was like a 10. You know, because you caught them off guard. You caught them off guard. You ended high, you caught them off guard, you're done, and they're like, shit, we want to hear more, sort of thing. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's simple, it's simple stuff. It's simple stuff,
But you're right though, because I
you
can
know?
picture myself getting to the end of one of my sets and then I know my punchline, and it usually ends with a laughter, and then like grabbing the mic like a cool comedian and then being like, and then I say it. It's like it doesn't
Yeah,
hit
in
the same.
some cases you've lost them because they're like, oh, what's he doing? Oh, he's almost done. They're not, they like the listening has switched to,
Yeah,
like, they're not listening anymore. They're watching you move the mic, thinking, and they've already like starting to check out because they're like, oh, he's almost finished.
for sure.
Versus if you're, doing however, whether you hold the mic, you stand in front of the mic stand, versus what you usually do, there's no, as soon as they see that you're winding down, they're winding down too. Where you want them still up here engaged, until you want them
Woo!
engaged until you're done.
Crazy.
Yeah. You want
Game
them
changer.
engaged until you're done. Yeah. So
Game changer.
so those are things that you learn from, you go to a lot of shows. I see you at the clubs a
I
lot,
go to
like
shows
going
every
to,
day.
yeah, you go every day and you're watching and you're observing. Like I learned a lot of those things. I learned from observing.
Hmm.
It's like, I really like this headliner, I really like this middle. What do they do? Or you watch how they, like, I watch all of it. I watch how they interact off the stage,
Yeah.
like how they talk to people and talk to other comics, talk to like the staff and all of that. I watch that stuff. I watch how they carry themselves on stage, you know, what they do after the shows, like how I watch all of that, because that's an education as well, not just the jokes.
Is the
It's, yeah, it's everything, and it's good. Like I'm always happy when I see you at at the clubs to watch, because
yeah.
that's where you learn. That's how you learn, and approach them, talk to them, get to know them. That's part of it, and
Yeah.
that's very that's helpful. It goes a
That's why
long
this
way.
podcast is gonna be, a great podcast. That's why I want to be on this. Wait, is it a podcast technically? It's a podcast.
This is a
Is it?
podcast, yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's a podcast.
But yeah. So I watch comedy every single day, so I get to see all of these comedians, right? So I know your set in and out. I've
Yeah,
seen
you've
it
seen me perform a lot of times.
so
Yeah,
many
you've seen.
times. I know
Yeah,
your level of comedy is like it's very high. Like like
thank you.
I that's why it's like I get on here. It's like, fuck, you said you were gonna talk most of the time. Okay, I'll listen because I know I'm getting the best insight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
For sure.
Because yeah, it's just I'm it's also my personality. Like if I know something, I'm going to share it.
Which
You
is
know,
not likely.
exactly. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen very often. Like I've been fortunate that I've had good mentors. Like I've had like active mentors where they knew they were mentoring me, and mentors where it was just they didn't know that I've been like observing them. And why I don't know, that sounds weird. That sounds creepy. But,
I do the same.
but it's like I'm in the room, I see you in the room, I'm watching, because it's usually I watch somebody who's where where I'm aiming to be or where I'd like to be in my comedy career. And it's like,
Sure.
okay, I like that person. I think they're talented. I think they're funny. I know all of that. Like I know that they're talented. I know that they're funny. What are they like? When they're not on stage, when they're in the comedy sphere, say whether it's the club or whatever show, what are they like? Like how do they prepare? Because some people might go off on their own for a little bit, a few minutes before the show starts or a few minutes before their set. Others like to stay in. Some people like to walk around, like leave the venue altogether and walk around to clear their thoughts or something. Like I just watch things like that, because then I know that okay, this guy likes to leave for a few minutes and then he'll come back, and he or she sits off to the side by themselves. So then I know, okay, I'm not going to bother him right before his set or her set. You know what I mean? Like you just learn those cues sort of things. Other people are very might be a little closed off before the show, but then once they've done their job, they're fine. You can talk to them, you can ask them questions like that. So it's just learning people's um habits, I guess.
Yeah.
Um while saying, does that work for me or does that not work for me? Because you could see something that could be very effective for that person. It might not work for you for various reasons. Or, there could be things that you'll adopt, or things that you're like, no, that doesn't work for me. Or you try it and like, that doesn't work, you know. But I think I've always believed that just being funny isn't enough. It's important because we're comics, we're supposed to be funny and
Yeah.
deliver the laughs and everything. But I think how you treat people, how you carry yourself, I think that has a lot to do with it. Because you could be funny as fuck, but then nobody wants to work with you because you're mean or you're rude or whatever it is. You can be like that, or you could be um you know just getting started and they're still learning. But if when you're putting in the effort, people notice the effort that you're putting in. People notice um like how hard you work and your dedication and your passion and stuff like that. And um all of that pays off. It pays off in there are ways that it may pay off, that are tangible, and there are ways that it could be, not easily seen,
Yeah.
but
Negatively for real. Because I go to shows all the time and I love it, and I'm excited for like what the future has for me.
mhm.
Because I'm just here for the laugh. If I keep
Yeah,
doing this, I see like the experience and stuff, but it's like I'm also not doing what people my age usually do, right? So
right.
I'm missing out on so much. All my friends are always inviting me to like party and hang out and do like that 21-year-old stuff, but for the love of the game, I gotta say no.
Hmm.
But it's tough, even
Yeah,
birthdays.
yeah.
Like,
But the thing
birth-
is, like, I think this is an old lady saying this too, but I think it's amazing that you're so young and not only do you know what you want to do, that you're pursuing it. Like, I knew at 15 that I wanted to do it. I
mm,
didn't pursue it. I waited 37 years before I even attempted it. So whenever I encounter young people, not just with comedy, but with anything where they're like, I've wanted to be a comedian, I've wanted to be a doctor, I've wanted to be a this, that, the other, and they've worked at that from the time they were young, I have the utmost respect for that.
yeah,
I have the
very.
utmost respect for that, because it's, yeah, especially, when like, I think if my parents were here, my parents would, if I went to them 4 years ago and said, I'm gonna do stand-up comedy, they'd be like, okay, okay, like, what does this mean? But if I went to them at 15 and said, this is what I'm pursuing, I'm not going to university, or I'm going to go to university and study, acting, or study drama, or study something in the arts, because this is what I want to do, that would not have gone over. That wouldn't have gone over well, and I knew that, so I didn't pursue it. I did it differently. I did it by like being a consumer of uh
Comedy?
of comedy. Like, I'd go to shows, like when I was old enough to like go to the bars to watch, you
No
know,
way.
to get into to shows, I would do that. Up
Did you
until
watch like
then,
Trevor Thompson? Oh no, you didn't move to Ottawa till
I moved to Ottawa in 2019.
uh
But like, I grew up in Montreal, and I lived in Toronto for 17 years before I moved to Ottawa. But like, when I was in Montreal and when I was in Toronto, I would go to comedy shows.
wow.
I'd go
So
to
you
just
knew
the
some
laugh.
of them,
No, I didn't know any of them.
but like you saw them come up, like Sugar Sammy. Did you see him
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'd seen him before. I'd seen him perform. Yeah,
before
exactly.
the?
Yeah, yeah. When he was a local comic doing because I was at
Oh,
some of those shows to see him
that's cool.
perform. Yeah, I went to
Cool.
shows, and most times I went by myself. That's how like passionate I was about it, because it's like, I just want to be in the room
Yeah.
with it. I rented videos. I know you're too young for renting videos, but I'd go to the store and rent, you know, whatever comedy special or thing, and I'd watch it, you know. I always had, like, at the time, I didn't know that processing trauma, processing hurtful things. I didn't like I When I became a comic, I realized the thought processes I used to write jokes, that's what I used to process, say, painful or hurtful things that happened to me. Didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Like, I was formulating bits from pain, sort of thing. And I always like, when I was in a comfortable environment, say with people who knew me really well, um knew that I was funny, that I was quick, that I could have a comeback or take a conversation in a weird direction. Um, but and the thing is, I think I inherently knew that I could do this, but I was too afraid.
Yeah.
I was too scared. I was mainly afraid of like what people would think, and I knew I wouldn't have support
Yeah.
and things like
That
that.
makes sense
So
though.
yeah.
People think I'm stupid. Like, and my friends,
People think you're crazy. That's yeah.
yeah, my
Yeah.
friends, some of them have left me from high school. I can't because the conversations aren't the same. Like people don't. Yeah, we don't really click. And
Yeah.
my parents, they call me every day just to make sure that I know that I'm stupid. Like, like
Oh no.
you're a
Yeah.
dummy. But like,
Yeah.
no, they've gotten better. Like at first, it was really bad,
Mm.
and they were panicking, especially because other London parents, because it's a small country, so we all basically know each other. We're like, like the Nkusi family, their little one, their Benjamin, like
Yeah,
I don't know, I
he's gone crazy.
think he's gone off the rails. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I had that too, because yeah, it's like also your parents want to be able to say, oh yes, they're at McGill studying this or whatever. It's a bragging thing. They won't admit it, but it's a bragging thing too. That it's like, well, what are we going to tell the neighbors, or what are we going to tell the family when they ask what you're doing? Like, what is this sort of thing? And yeah, like I knew I wouldn't have the support of it. Like I told my best friend, that was it. Like my family, like my family knew I enjoyed comedy because I'd go to shows and stuff like that, but they
Yeah,
didn't know they nobody knew that I wanted to pursue it except my friend Melissa.
crazy.
Nobody knew. She was the only person I had told. And she was supportive. And I
And then you
remember,
brought her to your show.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was awesome.
she's every milestone show she's made the trip from Montreal
That
to
was
be there.
emotional.
Yeah.
That was emotional.
Yeah,
That show
cuz
right there, one of my favorite shows that I've ever been to. Like, I like touched my heart.
yeah.
I knew where I was going for that show. I hope you know, like I was there for you
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
specifically. Even though I already go to Laugh Lounge all the time, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like I
yeah.
gotta be here for this. And
Yeah,
to
I
do that, that was
appreciate
like
that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
warmed my
Thank
heart.
you. Thank you. I still watch that clip, and it gets me, because it's so true. Like everything I said, it was true. Like we had I had her and my other friend Lucy on the podcast 2 years ago. I think, yeah, about 2 years ago. We were still a pandemic. And I asked them if they're at all surprised at me doing comedy, and both of them were like, nope. And my friend Melissa was like, she said, you told me when we were kids. And she's like, I knew you could do it. She's like, I always knew. She's like, the only thing is I didn't know how. She's like, because you were so painfully shy. She's like, I know she can do it because I've seen her be funny. I've heard it. She's like, I just didn't know how you would overcome the shyness of having to speak in front of people in order to do it. But yeah, she always believed in me. She never doubted me. And it's like, hand to God, when I told her, oh, I'm taking this course, I'm going to try it, she was like, it's about fucking time. I've been waiting, and that yeah, like yeah, it means a lot. Like I think my sister is on board, and I just think, and I try and play off that a bit in my um in my in my stand up, that I'm the last person you would think would be up there saying the shit that I say, just because I have a very demure, quiet, soft-spoken persona, and I'm like, ah, on stage.
You're
You
so
know what I
funny.
mean? Like it doesn't, but like that's my humor, and that's what it is. And so I know I do play off that. And I know my sister, I had her on the show too, and I said, what did you think when I told you I was going to pursue this? And she's like, because my sister is the more outgoing one, and like she was the performer in the family, did musical theater and all of that stuff, and she's
Mhm.
done that from the time she was a kid. It was
Crazy.
just it was her passion. And so she was in like school plays and things like that, where I did none of that because I was too shy. I wanted to be in the school play, I wanted to do those things, but I was too scared. So when I asked her, I was like, well, how did you feel, like what did you think? And she she said, if you had given me 1,000 guesses, she's like, that would not have even made the list. Like it was just something so like, I guess, out of character, or like so far-fetched.
Yeah.
And then she told me, and I don't know, I found this so funny, that like my very, very first show was at Absolute, and I invited everybody I knew. I hadn't been in Ottawa that long, so I didn't know a lot of people, but I invited them. I invited a whole bunch of people, and my sister and brother-in-law and a couple of other friends drove from Montreal here. And my sister said that in the car on the way to Ottawa, they were like, okay, what do we do if she's not funny? What do we do? What do we say if she's shit? What do we say? Because they didn't know, because they were just like, I think they were just coming to see what the hell's going to happen. Because they all knew me as like, I'm quiet, I don't say very much. Yeah, I can make them laugh every now and then, but she's going to go on stage and do this shit, really? So they had a strategy of, and the strategy involved my sister leaving, just at the end of the show, just leaving, because cannot my sister can't say, oh, that was great, if it wasn't my sister's face and everything. So they voted that, okay, you go straight to the car. That's they had a whole exit strategy, and like who was going to approach me, and they're all hoping that I wasn't going to say, what'd you think, or something. So they were like amazed and relieved that I did well, sort of thing. And they were like, oh, thank God. So it's like, for me to get, if I get praise from my sister, like that's, for me, that's high praise, because if she doesn't like something, she doesn't not that she's mean, but she just doesn't sugarcoat it. Did you like it? No, I did not. Like that's her. She's just very, very to the point. So to get praise from her, or for her to like forward stuff to her friends, or like I did a show, um this was I think it was like November or something, and she got like 20 people out to a show. I
Wow.
was doing like with the Montreal people, like that show we did
Sid.
with
Brastor. Sid.
yeah, so with Sid, it was one of Ben's shows.
And
um
Cardilli.
Ben Cardillian, it was a show at a pub in Vaudreuil. I think he runs it monthly. And my sister was like, okay, I'll get a few people together. I'm thinking, oh, she'll get like 3 or 4 people. No, she got like 20, 25 people
Crazy.
out to the show.
That's crazy.
So it's like, I know that she respects what I do, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's, I found it hilarious, where they were like, we were discussing like what we were going to do if you saw
That's
it.
funny as fuck.
I just thought it was
A
hilarious.
strategy?
Yes, yes. Like how they were going to deal with, are they going to be like, okay, we got to go, just leave? Like what was going to happen? Yeah, they discussed that on the drive up, with how, um, what they were going to do if I was really, really bad, you know. And so my sister doesn't see me perform often,
Yeah.
but whenever, I think she would see me perform maybe once or twice a year. If I go to Montreal, they
For
usually, they'll
sure.
come to shows there. So she sees the the progression and the evolution and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it's yeah, well, just to go back to what I was saying before, I find it's very inspiring, and I have a utmost respect for somebody who knew at a very early age what they wanted to do, and are pursuing it despite you're not letting people's opinions of it affect your pursuit of it, and I think that's commendable.
Thank you very much.
I
And
think that's commendable.
like that's awesome that your family, like your sister. I know how much like it feels. I have sisters too and brothers.
Yeah,
So
it's important, it's important. You want
super.
them to support you, and to respect what you're doing, and to enjoy what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know and it makes a huge thing. Like, I remember after my first time, like, I was so overwhelmed, like, I couldn't believe I did it, and I was happy with how I did, and it went really well. And I remember when I was leaving, I sat in my car and I cried for like half an hour. Like, I tear up right now, because I was like, I waited like practically my whole life for this. Like, this was something I knew I wanted to do, and I was too afraid to do it. And I finally fucking did it. You know what I mean? And I remember crying in the car, just because I wish my parents had been there. I wish my parents were around to be there, because even though they wouldn't have understood in terms of, you're going to go on a stage and just talk, and people, like, why would you do that? My parents always wanted me to have a passion for something, because I never really had a passion for anything. It was like, oh, yeah, I'll do this, yeah, I'll go to school, I'll do this, but I was never in love with anything I was doing. And I think, if nothing else, they would have been happy and proud that I finally found something. I think they would have been proud that I finally found something. And
That's beautiful.
yeah, and it gets me. And I also feel, just knowing the type of people that my parents were, that at some level, I would never have told them this, but I think at some level they would have felt something, that she loves this so much, she's kind of got a talent for it, and we potentially held her back. I think I can't help but think that they might have felt something like that, even though it wasn't. I know that it wasn't out of, like, we just don't want you happy. I knew it wasn't something like that, where
Yeah.
it's protection. Like, I can tell you, like, the resistance of your family, especially your parents, is protection, because they want you to be able to support yourself. They want you to have a profession or a job where you can support yourself, where you can make money, and you know buy a house or rent, or whatever it is, that you can support yourself doing it. And unfortunately, a lot of positions that are fulfilling don't pay very well, or don't pay very well at the beginning.
Mhm.
Or you have to reach a certain level for it to be able to make a living out of it. And so I know that for my parents, for sure, and I'm sure it's the same for your parents. They want you to have a practical job. They want you,
Sure. Oh,
yeah, they want you to have a practical job. And sometimes a practical job isn't the most fun job. A practical job just pays the bill. A practical job may not fill your soul, sort of thing. So I think my parents would have been like, okay, we don't understand it. At least she's got a good job. She's got a good, like, practical job, which I happen to love too. They're like, okay, we made sure she got her education. She's got a good job. Okay, this is filling her soul. Okay, we're happy about that because
Yeah.
she was I was kind of aimless in the sense that I never had like a true passion for anything. There are things I liked, things I enjoyed, but the if I applied like the amount of work and effort and passion and effort that I put into comedy I applied to other things. My God. If I applied myself like that in school, fuck. You know?
Telling me.
You know?
You tell me.
So it's like this is the one thing in my whole life. And I've done a lot of cool things. I've had a lot of, amazing experiences in life. But other than when I start like pursued comedy, when I said this, I'm doing it, I've never invested so much into anything before in my life, and I think um I put so much into it now because I started so late,
Mm.
and I'm not going to have the long career that you're going to have, where you could go for 40 or 50 more years. I might only be alive for another 10. Who knows? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like,
God forbid, but yeah.
I'm not going to have a 30-year career in comedy. That'll put me in my 80s. Like, I'd love, that'd be cool. That would be absolutely cool. But, I feel, there could, like, say some of the milestones and goals that I'd have for myself, I may not achieve them just by nature of I started late. I started late, and they're going to be younger people there. Because I know right now there are younger people with more experience than I have.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of it. They started when they were in their 20s. I started when I was in my 50s. That's just math. You know what I mean? So I know that there's certain goals and certain things that I'd love to achieve that I might not. But I'm still going to work like I can achieve them.
For sure.
I'm still going to put the work in and the effort and everything like I will achieve, X, Y, or Z,
I
where
believe.
you will, at the
Oh
rate
yeah.
you're going, you will,
Oh yeah. Most definitely.
yeah, at the rate you're going, you absolutely will. If, you're 21 and you're doing, or 22, you're doing all that you're doing and all the, like all the stuff that you're doing right now. Yeah, no doubt you will.
I
No
love
doubt.
it.
Yeah,
All
that's the
the
thing.
laugh lounge shows, those are like therapeutic. That's like
I love Laugh Lounge. I'm going there tonight, actually. Yeah,
lucky.
I'm not on the show. I'm just going because I like being there.
Yeah.
You know,
It,
but stay the course. I tell myself that too. Like, stay the course. Like, the ultimate goals that I have. Like, if I had started, put it this way, I'm older than Dave Chappelle. I'm like 4 or 5 years older than Dave Chappelle. He started
Mhm.
when he was like 18. I think he started before. I think he wasn't old enough to be in the bars, but I think he
I was
snuck in
14.
and stuff like that. But he was a kid. Like, he was 14, 15 when he started.
Huge
Yeah.
difference.
Huge difference. Yeah. So it's
Huge.
like a lot of the veterans, like the Dave Chappelle's, the Bill Burrs, the Jerry Seinfeld's, they're all my age or older. And they've all got like 30 years under their belt. We're in the
Mhm.
same demographic age wise, but they've got like 30 years experience in comedy. I've got 4. There's no comparison.
Ah,
What they've
that's the
achieved in
beauty.
the if what they've achieved in 30 years, I'm not even
Yeah.
close to. And I don't have, I'm sure I don't have 30 years to achieve those things. yeah, I know I don't have 30 years to achieve those things, but I'm gonna work like I will. I'm gonna
Yeah.
work like I'm gonna work like I'm 25. I'm gonna work like I have time. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, long story short, just like stay the course and put the work in and learn as much as you can, get as much stage time as you can. Don't listen to the noise of people trying to tear you down or put you down for working so hard. Don't listen to that.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that at all. Or consider the source of where that's coming from, and it's usually from people who aren't doing what you're doing or can't do what you're doing.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Even this was very informative. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna def
I feel weird because it's like I just talked at you for, you know,
no,
I was just
but
talking at you. This wasn't an
I
interview.
can go back. I can go back and like rewatch this and like there's so much like gold, like little gems that were in this, you know. And these are the type of videos I watch. These are the type of
Yeah.
questions I have. And you're a very experienced comedian and like the level like there's like I don't know like, there's like levels of like joke writing like there's the amount of comedians I've seen there's like just levels and like you're at that level where it's like
Oh, thank you. Thank
and
you
there's
so
still
much.
more so much more to go. You're constantly improving. Like that's the way I see it. Like there's to get better at comedy itself is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
every step that you do, you're throwing yourself in deep waters. Like you try crowd work for the first time. You don't do crowd work for 2 years during your career. In 2 years, that shit's gonna be so hard to try.
Yeah, because it's
Just try.
different because you haven't
Yeah.
evolved with it. Like if you did it, you stop and then you started up a year, 2 years later. Crowd work has evolved, and it's like you got to catch up. And yeah, there's so much.
The fact that we're doing this,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we're
Do you
doing it.
want me to? Do you want me to air this? Do you want this
If you
aired?
could keep as much as you can, if you could even upload the whole thing, that would be awesome.
Okay, because I feel weird, like
Nah, trust. This is
talk,
perfect.
like yeah,
This
I
is a
feel.
great.
Okay.
This is a great conversation.
Because I'll say it
Awesome.
turned into um like, what is it, young grasshopper type of thing. Elder talking to like
What I need.
newer, even though like comedy wise I'm still fairly new myself, like in terms of like chronological years.
Yeah.
i'm
But
i'm
maybe
still
other comedians need that. They need to watch a young comic ask questions to
a more seasoned comic, yeah.
a more seasoned comic and see like because that shit is true. All the shit that you're saying is true, and it's little mistakes like that
Mm,
and little adjustment like that will get you super far and stuff like this.
okay.
If you
Okay,
could
because
keep much,
it's up to you, because I was like, I don't want it, because
keep the whole thing.
I love talking about comedy. I love talking about comedy. I like sharing like what I've learned, what I know, things I've learned, things that I think could help other people, but I didn't want it to be like I don't want it to seem like I'm telling you what to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what
Hell no.
I've seen. I'm telling you what I've learned along the way, like just coming into it like older and at a different level, and not having the um because I didn't know anybody when I came here.
Mhm.
I came to a new city and I decided to do comedy here, and I didn't know anybody in the community, and like I stumbled, and I didn't I got to know people as I went along, but it's not always easy to get in, and so it's like I always tried, and I remember making a vow because like some people were mean to me when I first came in. And I was like, I never want to make somebody who wants to try this feel like they're not welcome, and somebody's motivation for starting comedy or doing comedy is none of my business. The fact that they love it and they want to do it, what their goals, like what their end goal is for their comedy, that's their personal journey. Like it's none of my business. I have nothing to say about it, but my thing is, as long as you're here, you're welcome. um People want to ask me questions, they want to ask my opinion on something. i'm
Yeah.
uh I'm open.
I I ask so many questions to so many different comedians. I'm talking pro level. Like I even if you go check out the Ruckus, I tried
Yeah,
to ask questions. Dave Chappelle himself, if you know this, I tried to ask him questions. I'll anybody. So
yeah,
there's been the amount of times I've been shut down is crazy. There's so many comedians that are just not willing to give any type of. It's like what whatever, like no, like
yeah.
in
And
in
then
different
that's a shame.
it yeah.
That's a
And it
shame.
sucks. It's very discouraging. And
Yeah,
I've been to DC, New York, all of these places, and I asked even over there, and I've got shut down by, what I'm saying, not to like segregate or whatever, my own people. Like, but I thought we was in this together. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
they're shutting me down. So whenever like a comedian like is willing to share the information, it's like
Hmm.
you care, like
Yeah, that's part of
care
why
about
I started this podcast, because I started this right at the start of the pandemic, because at that point when everything shut down, I was barely 6 months. Barely 6 months in. I think I had done maybe about 8 to 10 sets max. I hadn't done a lot of
wow.
sets. Like I was still fairly new, and I was just
Wow.
starting to get momentum. I was just starting to get momentum, and then everything shut down. And I was like, I don't want to lose the little bit of momentum that started to happen. And I finally found something that I love and that I've got like that I can be good at, that I'm passionate about. I don't want that to go. So, and I wanted to like establish and maintain like the relationships with the few comics that I had met so far. And then I wanted to meet more. So I built this as more of a vehicle to talk to other comics, to talk to more experienced comics, to ask them questions and get insight and stuff, so I could learn, since I couldn't physically be in a room to watch them perform or watch them interact with stuff. I created this to be able to do that, to ask them questions.
Mhm.
And all the while, like, I was learning, and then my own stand up was evolving and stuff like that,
That's
you
awesome.
know. So I did it for that same reason. It's like I want to learn, I want to know more, I want to I really want to do this, and really need I want some guidance. I want to talk to people about it and learn what they know. And I always told myself that I always felt that, even though, fine, like, they're, excellent, there are always more comics than there are spaces on stage time.
Mhm.
That's a given, that's fine. I'm like, I'm going to work really hard to try and get as much stage time as I can. um I'm also going to share. If someone says, hey, how did you get on that show, this is how I did it. Here's the email that you here's this is the name of the contact person, here's their email, let them know this and that. I have zero issues sharing that information. you know, because the way I see it is that, you know, we could both want a spot on a particular show. And, you know, depending on the show, sometimes they're looking for experience. Like they want someone who's got, you know, certain, you know, you've got at least 10 minutes, or you've done like these level of shows and stuff like that. That's fine. Um, like I remember one comic who did that for me, and I was like, well, how do I do these shows? And he was like, well, this is how you do these shows, but this particular show, you know, it's by invitation only. Or this particular show, um, you have to be performing consistently at clubs at this level, like middle, opener middle level. You know, this one is only on weekends, so it's only for professionals and stuff like that, which was really helpful, rather than you're not ready, or don't ask me that, or ignoring
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? It's like he gave me the information. I asked him, how do I get on these shows? And he was like, this is how. He didn't say you're not ready to do these shows. He just said this is the criteria that they look for these particular shows.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm brand new. I barely have 6 minutes. So no, I not ready for that. This one, oh, it's
Right.
pro shows only on the weekend. I'm not ready for that either. But at least I had the information. You know what I mean? So that like
Mhm.
2 or 3 years later, it's like, you know what? I have 6 minutes. I've done XYZ. I can apply
Yeah.
to that. I can inquire about being on that show.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's information, and I don't see the harm in sharing information. I think like Ottawa has a reputation of just churning out very strong comedians. You know, like Graham Kay, Norm Macdonald, Kyle Brownrigg, you know, John Doerr, Tom Green, like they all started here in Ottawa. So there's something in the air, in the water, whatever it is, that churns out great comedians. And I think it's we're a strong community. We're small in comparison to like Toronto or Montreal. We're a small community, but we're a strong community. And I think we could be even stronger if we were more collaborative, if we were more supportive of
Mhm.
each other.
Yeah.
You know, I went to New York in June, and I remember being nervous, like, oh, New York City, like this. And it's like, no, I held my own in New York City.
Yeah.
You know, I held my own in New York City. Like I shouldn't have been intimidated. You know, like I went and I was like, oh, you know, these big city, New York City they were good, you know, but just like every market, you have like strong ones and not so strong ones,
Mhm.
you know, and there's like, you know, you know, we deserve to be on these shows. And I think
We
that
do.
I think the more the more accessible that stage time becomes, I think everyone benefits. The more
Yeah.
stage time somebody gets, the more performances somebody get, you can't help but get stronger. That's how I got stronger, because I took opportunities. I did a lot of Zoom shows during the pandemic. I think at that time, because I was so new, it was easy to pivot to
Mhm.
online versus like I would still do it if it happened again. Cross my fingers it doesn't happen again, but I would still do it. I think it would be a little harder, just because um you know, stand up works best in a room where you're in the same room with the people, you know. Um
Yeah.
but in terms of performing, working out your working out your material, writing your material, preparing for a show, um it taught me invaluable things. Like I got used to silence. In a Zoom show, you don't know who's watching, you don't know who's paying attention, because people have their mics off, people have their cameras off, They could be there, they could not be there. It's like I have no idea, and I had to get used to silence, get used to pauses, used to things that are uncomfortable, just by nature of, we want people laughing all the time. They don't laugh all the time, and to be able to um sit in that and be okay with that. That was something that I had to learn. It was hard. Another big thing was just slowing down the pace of my set, because I'd be like, I've got 6 minutes. I got to put all the stuff I've got to say all the jokes in this amount of time, so you're not listening to I was stepping on laughs. Like people are laughing, but I'm like, yeah, okay, good. They're laughing. I got to get to the next bit because, I've got to get all this stuff in 6 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. I need to rush through, where now it's like, I take my time, and instead of say I'm doing 10 minutes, instead of trying to pack everything I can in those 10 minutes, it may mean I only do 6 bits because I'm talking at a slower pace. I'm listening, I'm letting them laugh. I'm pausing for reactions, like sitting in like a silence to make them laugh or something. Like, so that means I'm doing fewer bits, but the payoff is better. The quality of what I'm doing is better because I'm not rushing. I'm not just barreling through to get as much in a finite amount of time as possible. And that was hard. That was hard. That was one of the hardest things, was getting comfortable with, like, if a joke didn't work well, to just be, and not to be like, oh, well, that was for me or whatever it is, just to be like, okay, and keep going, sort of thing. That some like, I know in the beginning it was just like, okay, just calm down, because in my head I'd be like, they're not listening like this, but just to like calm down and just like, and then continue. Whereas the more comfortable and more experienced and everything, you can make a little quip, you could do some like facial expression, and you get a reaction on that. Like, I know one of my favorite things that, it's like, I'm glad when it doesn't get a reaction, because I get to do that, is when I go, I'm single, and it's just quiet, and I'm like, okay, like that always gets a huge laugh. And then if somebody goes woohoo, it's like, thank you, like, you learn how to roll with the punches. But like, I almost love it when nobody says anything, and it's like, all right, like this, so I'm gonna continue, whatever. You're wrong, but whatever. You know what I mean? So those are things that you just learn, and it's, you know you'll find your voice. You eventually find your voice. um and I think once you find your voice and what works for you and what works best for you, then yeah, no one can stop you at that point.
Yeah.
No one can stop you at that point. Like, yeah, yeah. So I feel awkward because I just talked at you for so if you'd like I can send this to you. I can send this whole thing to you, and then we could like book another one and do like
Oh,
an actual interview.
I want to do this again, 100%. But
Okay.
I love this. This was amazing,
Okay.
phenomenal.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll put a thing in it saying that it turned into a lecture. Like this, that it turned into just
Bruh,
me giving
bruh,
advice and like talk about experience and
one
stuff
day
like that.
comedians will like, yeah, there's gonna be young comics that are gonna look at this. Like, and I've been that young comedian. Like any type of like podcast about comedy and like this type of stuff. Like we need as much of it as
Mm.
possible in the world. For
And I
real.
think part of it is like it's stuff I wish I had.
Mhm.
You know, it's stuff I wish that somebody had
Literally though.
talked to
And
me.
also what like I watch your set so many times. So it's like I also some of these things I pick up from you. Like you're saying it and I'm also like thinking about, oh, she does that in her set. And it does work. Like the okay in between like saying you're single, I've seen you do it both ways where you say okay. I've seen where people cheer. So I'm like, yes, she's actually like talking shit. Like listen. You better listen because she's saying the truth.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for
For
that.
real.
Okay, so we're gonna move into our section. It's this is a fun section that I have fun with it just because it's so weird. So it's
Yeah.
called Crazy Questions, and I have 249 questions here that I've curated and like scoured the internet. We're not going to do all 249. We're going to do like two. We're going to do like two, maybe three, but they range from like funny, silly to like deep and like philosophical. Some of them you may not be able to answer like on the spot, so we can choose another number at that point. But I will ask you to choose a number and I will read the corresponding question.
Number
So,
6.
number 6. Would you rather have one real get out of jail free card or a key that opens any door?
A key that opens every door. What
Yeah,
are we even
any
talking?
door.
Any door in the
Any
world?
door. Any door.
That I'm taking the key.
You're
I'm taking the key. What are we talking about? That's crazy. What?
It's true. Yeah, I would take the key too. Because it's like I'm not doing anything that'll get me in jail. Like I don't,
Word.
I'm not. It's not like, oh, I'm in jail every week. I better get one. No. Yeah, it's like I could open any door. Give me that key. Exactly.
Yeah.
Give me that key.
The fuck?
Yeah, duh, key. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a criminal.
Exactly. I'm not a criminal, so for sure. For sure. Okay, what another number, please?
235.
235. Would you rather have free Wi-Fi wherever you go or be able to drink unlimited free coffee at any coffee shop?
Don't drink coffee. So
So
go to free.
Wi-Fi?
But the free Wi-Fi was already like a hit. Like that was
Yeah,
already
no,
awesome.
yeah, free Wi-Fi is pretty often is pretty awesome.
I
You
guess
know.
maybe if you replace it with like, you know what? Let me not get into what my uh you know. Let's not. It's been such a great interview. You don't have to talk about podcast.
Okay, another number.
Uh, 200.
200. What is one thing you regret having done or not done in your life?
What is something you regret that you have
That
done?
you either regret not doing or you regret doing in your
Oh,
life?
geez, life with regret is such a bad mentality.
Yeah.
Uh, geez, yeah, that's a great. It's a tough question because it's like you wish you. I'm so glad that did everything that I did and didn't do because
It
all of
brought you
that were
here.
learning lessons, They were all learning lessons.
Yeah. 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 I find it hard to like there are things I look back on life and there are things that I'm like, either, it would have been better if things worked out, if this situation worked out better, or I had
For
never
sure.
crossed paths with that person and everything. But to say I regret, I don't know. I think because if I regretted certain things, it means, to me at least, it means that I would have, like, that's eliminating a part of my history.
Yeah.
which in turn that would have like that could have a domino effect, because maybe in making, you know, making that mistake,
Hmm.
you know, find that situation was bad and painful or whatever, but it led you to other things, which led you to other things, which led you to other things, which led you to here, you know.
And you're so
So
happy
yeah,
with yourself now. So it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Like I look back on things, it's like, yeah, you know, like I got married, that didn't work, or you know, you meet the wrong person, or you made a bad choice in at work, or whatever it is, you know. Yeah, I've always thought that like if I had the chance to go back, if I went back with like memories intact, like say I went back to age 16 with like my 56-year-old memory,
yeah.
that would be terrifying. And I don't think you can,
You should make a movie about that though.
yeah, well
There is.
there's like Back to the Future, which was made in the 80s,
Oh, I'm
where it
talking.
was this kid went back
Yeah.
to get his parents together,
Yeah.
and he ended up back in like 1955 or whatever.
17 again.
Pardon me?
17 again with Zac
Yeah, there's like
Efron.
17 again, there's like 13 going on 30, and all of these things. but
Ah,
but like say with Back to the Future, he got flung to 1955 by accident, and
yeah.
in trying to get back to 1985, he found his friend who was this weird scientist, and the scientist said you can't interact with anybody, because if you interact with anyone, it's going to alter your future, you
So
know. And there was a period of time where it looked like his parents, like he was like, how are my parents going to meet, sort of thing.
yeah,
And
I saw it.
yeah, exactly. And like
I know I'm
his
young,
life,
but
like the life he had, like his family life
hmm
before he went back, he altered the past. He still had the same family, but they were just so much cooler and so much better than the original. He was the same,
hmm
you know. And there was a show, I was trying to think of it, not Touched by an Angel, but it was like a show like that where somebody the show usually started with like somebody having like some accident that kills them, and right before they cross over, they meet a judge who says, you know, I'm here to judge you and decide whether you go upstairs or downstairs. You know, this is what's happened in your life so far. And before I let you in, I'm going to give you the opportunity to change some, just to change the course of your life. So you live your life. Because it was always people who had like, who weren't doing well or not treating people well or something. And the judge would always say that there was a point in your life where things changed. Something happened to you and things changed, and you became the
damn.
cunt that you are, sort of thing. And before I let you in, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm going to give you three. Yeah, it was 3 days. I'm going to give you 3 days to fix it. So he sends them back, not as themselves, like they come back in like some different, like some other person, but with all their memories intact, and they have to somehow appeal to their younger self and
Yeah.
make them make better decisions. So they don't go back themselves, you know, but they go back and they see their like 15-year-old version of themselves, or their 20-year-old self, and go and try and like convince their younger self not to make the mistakes that they made that led to them falling down a pit or something. You know? So yeah, so something like that. Like I would,
Oh
you
my
know,
god.
like an opportunity like that. Like I don't even think that there are like points in my life where I'd be like, that's when it all went downhill. You know, I think it would be something like if I went back and it's like 1992 and I saw my ex-husband, I'd be like, nope. Let's go this way. How about Tim? Tim seems nice. Let's meet Tim instead. You've always liked Tim. Tim's a nice guy. Let's go to Tim instead.
But what if Tim was a serial killer? Like,
it's true. That's the thing. Exactly. That's the thing. Like you go back thinking you had regrets then, but you could be leading yourself to something even worse. You know, like, yeah, Tim, like I met my ex-husband, but like Tim could have been
was right there. And he actually ended up fucking.
Yeah, exactly. I walked past my ex-husband saved me from the serial killer. But like, no, I want to go back and fix it and like act like I never met him. I'm gonna go meet a serial killer instead. And my life ends right then. You know, I don't get to live the perceived shitty life that I had because Tim, the serial killer, took me out. That's why you should never live your life with regrets. Because Tim, the serial killer.
Wow.
I think we should end it.
Very informative. Very informative. Learn a lot.
Oh my god! And like we always say when we perform, you want to end on a big laugh, end on a high note, end on a big laugh, which this absolutely is. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me
here. Thank you. I appreciate you looking at this as like information, like getting information, like a mentorship thing. I thank you. I appreciate that, because as we were talking, I was like, I'm just telling him a lot of shit. Like maybe he doesn't want to hear any of this.
I'm writing it down in my head
because I'm like, maybe I'm just like this old person, this boomer, even though I'm not a boomer, this boomer talking at this young man. He doesn't want to hear anything I have to say. But I appreciate you, and I think you're very talented, and just keep going. You were destined to great things. So
thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And that was awesome. Yeah. And yeah, keep everything. Just I'm gonna look back at this plenty of times.
I'm gonna edit some stuff, but I will listen to, I'll follow your lead on this, and I will keep as much of it intact. You know, as long as you're okay with it, because I was like, this is supposed to be an interview, but I'm just like at you. So I appreciate that. So I would love to have you back. Anytime you'd like to come back, just let me know, and we'll work it out. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I definitely will. Yeah. All right. So
yes. So I'll have Serge's contact information in the show notes. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.